Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce have finally made it official in a way that feels almost too perfect for the era of social media and celebrity storytelling. The pop superstar and the Kansas City Chiefs tight end have announced their engagement through a set of dreamy photos on Instagram, where one image in particular featuring the stunning engagement ring has already gone viral across every platform. Fans had been speculating for weeks about when and how the couple might take this next step. But few imagined it would come wrapped in such a cinematic reveal on their second anniversary, a milestone that already felt significant, as it coincided with Travis preparing for what many believe could be—
It was like the perfect area or perfect time for me to go up there, just be a ham and have some fun. It was a blast.
With Taylor creating a moment that merges love, ambition, and legacy into one unforgettable announcement. The photos themselves look more like a carefully curated album cover than a casual engagement post with golden light, soft backdrops, and the kind of romantic composition that only feeds into the idea that Taylor, a master of visuals and narratives, had a hand in shaping. Every frame fans flooded the comments calling it the most magical crossover between music and sports, and pointing out how their journeys have become intertwined from stadiums filled with cheering fans to stadiums filled with concert goers. The parallels are too striking to ignore. Some even believe the engagement timing is a strategy, as rumors swirl about Taylor potentially eyeing the coveted Super Bowl halftime stage, something she has never done despite years of speculation. The idea that she could perform at the very event where her fiancé seeks his ultimate football glory feels like the kind of poetic symmetry that only happens in stories written for headlines and history, yet here it is unfolding in real time before millions of followers. The engagement news also sparks conversations about what comes next. Not only in terms of a wedding, but in the way these two colossal public figures balance their careers with their personal lives. Will Taylor plan an elaborate ceremony that rivals her concert productions? Or will she retreat to something intimate, hidden away from the constant cameras? Will Travis use the energy of this new chapter as motivation on the field, as he battles for one more championship before possibly stepping away? Fans dissect every clue, every detail from the cut of the ring to the outfits they wore in the announcement photos, and each element only adds more fuel to the curiosity machine that drives modern celebrity culture. The beauty of this moment is that it feels like both a private promise and a public performance. Taylor and Travis are giving their audience exactly what it craves while still holding on to the mystery of what lies ahead, and as the narrative builds, it becomes clear that this engagement is not just about two people in love, but about the merging of two worlds: music and football, celebrity and sport, fantasy and reality, colliding in a way that leaves everyone waiting for the next act. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce did not arrive at this engagement moment overnight. Their story has been unfolding in a way that captured the collective imagination of fans across the world. And the way it has developed feels like the merging of two distinct legends, one rooted in the music industry with global stages and lyrical confessions, and the other rooted in the NFL with roaring crowds and championship dreams. And part of what makes their union so compelling is the way they have managed to bridge those worlds while keeping the core of their relationship grounded in authenticity. For Taylor, the announcement marks yet another chapter in a career defined not only by reinvention, but also by the way she has woven her personal life into her art. She has long been known as the songwriter who turns heartbreak, joy, doubt, and triumph into verses that resonate with millions, and many fans are already speculating about how this engagement will shape her next era. Will she dedicate a ballad to Travis that becomes the anthem of their love? Will her upcoming projects be infused with the symbolism of commitment, stability, and lifelong partnership? And for Travis, this moment represents something equally transformative because, while he has been celebrated as one of the most dominant tight ends in NFL history, his life has now intersected with a cultural force larger than sports, and together their narrative has become the kind of crossover story that tabloids, media outlets, and fans dream about analyzing each gesture, each public outing, and each subtle clue for hidden meaning. The engagement itself was delivered like a perfect Taylor Swift bridge, emotional, layered, and calculated to maximize impact without feeling inauthentic. The dreamy photos posted on Instagram were not just pictures.
Plant an Easter egg that ties back to my personal life. It's always going to be towards music. A plan I have coming together. The Easter eggs thing is getting
millions, not only in dollars, but in the cultural capital it generates. Because in celebrity culture, an engagement ring is not just a piece of jewelry. It is a statement, a reflection of how a couple wants the world to see their union. And this one screamed timeless elegance mixed with modern flair, perfectly matching the narrative of Taylor and Travis as a couple who embody both tradition and contemporary stardom. The location of the photo shoot also raised curiosity with many, noting that the golden light and romantic backdrop seemed more like a cinematic scene than a casual announcement, and speculation grew that Taylor herself had overseen the creative direction. After all, she has a track record of controlling the visuals around her life, from music videos to documentary projects to carefully staged public appearances, and this engagement reveal fits seamlessly into that legacy. Fans debated the deeper meaning of choosing their second anniversary as the date to share the news. Some felt it was a subtle nod to the longevity of their bond in an industry that often sees relationships burn out quickly, while others saw it as a signal that the couple wanted to create an unshakable anchor point in their story. An anniversary that now represents not just their past 2 years together, but the beginning of a future mapped out before millions. Travis, meanwhile, was already deep into the grind of NFL preseason workouts, but he still took the time to stand beside Taylor in this announcement, a move that showed how much he values balancing personal milestones with professional goals. And for fans of the Chiefs, this raised the stakes of the upcoming season. Suddenly, the question was not just whether Travis could lead his team to another Super Bowl victory, but whether he could do it while carrying the energy of being a newly engaged man. The intertwining of these narratives made sports media and entertainment media collide in ways rarely seen before, with outlets that normally stick to either music or football now both covering the engagement as if it were the most important story of the year. The reaction from fans was explosive. Timelines flooded with excitement, memes, edits, and even predictions about what the wedding might look like. Some imagined a grandiose spectacle filled with celebrity guests, a performance lineup curated by Taylor herself, and fashion moments that would dominate magazines for years, while others hoped for something quieter. Perhaps a ceremony that reflected the couple's desire to carve out private happiness away from the noise. The curiosity extended even to the possibility of Taylor performing at the Super Bowl halftime show, with speculation reaching a fever pitch. Now that her fiancé is in pursuit of a fourth championship, many saw it as destiny, a once-in-a-lifetime convergence where music history and sports history collide on the biggest stage in America. And while Taylor has so far avoided the halftime show, despite years of rumors, some believe this engagement could change everything, perhaps even creating an opportunity too symbolic to resist. Critics and supporters alike debated whether the timing of the engagement announcement was linked to these halftime show discussions, with some suggesting that the reveal was a strategic move to build anticipation ahead of NFL season kickoff. Whatever the motivation, the impact was undeniable. The couple managed to dominate both sports and entertainment headlines in a single sweep, a rare feat that only amplifies their influence in today's cultural landscape. But beyond the spectacle, there is a deeper question about how two of the busiest people in the world will make a marriage work. Taylor is constantly touring, recording, and reshaping the music industry, while Travis is consumed by the demanding schedule of the NFL, a lifestyle that requires endless travel, grueling practice, and intense physical and mental focus. Fans wonder how they will balance these realities. Will Taylor spend more time in Kansas City to be with Travis during the season? Will Travis begin to transition out of football into broadcasting or other ventures to spend more time with her? The answers are unknown, but the curiosity is relentless, and every small clue is amplified as fans piece together the puzzle of their future. As the days passed after the announcement, the photos continued to circulate, and dissecting them became almost a cultural pastime. Jewelry experts weighed in, stylists offered opinions. Photographers broke down the lighting choices, and fans combed through Taylor's lyrics for potential foreshadowing of this moment. Some pointed to her recurring symbolism of golden hues in songs from Folklore and Evermore, suggesting that the aesthetic of the engagement photos was part of a long-running theme of love, resilience, and rebirth. Others compared it to her Lover album era, noting that the visuals align with the soft romantic tones she once described as wanting to capture the feeling of everlasting love. And for Travis, fans connected the announcement to his competitive spirit. The timing coming just before another NFL season kickoff was seen by some as a motivational anchor, something that could push him to new heights on the field. The narrative of chasing both a fourth Super Bowl ring and celebrating an engagement ring was irresistible for headline writers. The dual quest for rings became a storyline that spread through both sports blogs and entertainment magazines alike, showing once again how their love story had transcended categories. It was no longer just about Taylor Swift, the global superstar, or Travis Kelce, the NFL titan. It was about Taylor, And Travis, the couple whose romance had become a shared obsession across demographics, from teenage Swifties to lifelong football fans, from fashion critics to sports commentators, from gossip blogs to serious news outlets. This engagement was the rare moment where everyone seemed to care, and as fans continue to speculate on when the wedding might take place, what kind of dress Taylor will wear, whether she will write a song inspired by the proposal, and whether Travis might include football motifs in the ceremony, the story shows no signs of slowing down. If anything, it feels like just the opening chapter of a saga that will continue to unfold on the grandest possible stage, because when two of the most visible figures in American culture decide to join their lives, the result is not just a personal milestone, it is a cultural event that defines an era. The story of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's engagement did not just land as a single headline. It spread like wildfire across every corner of culture, and part of the fascination comes from how rare it is for a romance to bridge the gap between pop music royalty and NFL superstardom, while most celebrity couples shine in one sphere. These two have built their identities in entirely different worlds, yet they now exist in a shared narrative that millions are following like a serialized drama. The engagement photos served as the cliffhanger ending of a season finale, leaving fans desperate for what comes next. And as people dissect the details of their love story, it becomes clear that this relationship is as much about timing destiny and shared ambition as it is about personal connection, because for Taylor, the engagement arrives at a time when she is arguably at the peak of her cultural power. Her Eras tour has shattered records across continents. Her re-recorded albums have redefined ownership in the music industry, and her brand has reached levels of loyalty and devotion unmatched by nearly any other celebrity in the modern era. So when she chose to announce this engagement, she did it with the precision of an artist, releasing a new single, controlling the visuals, the narrative, and the emotional beats to make sure it resonated with her audience. For Travis, the engagement similarly represents a pinnacle moment, because while his career has already secured him a place in NFL history books as one of the greatest tight ends of all time, his legacy is now intertwined with a global superstar in a way that few athletes experience. He is no longer just the player chasing championships. He is the fiancé of the biggest pop star in the world. And that role brings both opportunities and challenges. Opportunities because it expands his reach beyond football into mainstream pop culture, and challenges because it requires him to navigate the relentless glare of Taylor's global spotlight. Yet Travis has handled this transition with surprising ease. Fans note how comfortable he looks standing beside Taylor, how natural their chemistry appears in candid photos, and how supportive he has been in attending her concerts, traveling across continents to watch her perform, and embracing the role of being both partner and cheerleader. The engagement cemented that image, solidifying him not just as a star athlete, but as a leading man in a modern love story. The engagement ring itself continues to fuel conversation, with jewelers speculating about its cut, clarity, and value. But beyond the material worth, fans see it as a metaphorical ring tying together two lives driven by pursuit of excellence. Both Taylor and Travis know what it takes to perform at the highest level, to sacrifice privacy and comfort in the name of ambition. And now they have promised to do it together. The symbolism of a ring is commitment, permanence, unity. And fans are latching onto that symbolism as if it validates their own emotional investment in this relationship. The announcement also prompted waves of nostalgia as fans looked back at the early days of their romance, when Travis famously admitted on his podcast that he tried to give Taylor a friendship bracelet with his number on it during her Eras tour stop in Kansas City. At the time, it felt like a playful anecdote, something that might be forgotten in the sea of celebrity flirtations. Yet, from that small gesture came one of the most talked about relationships of the decade. The bracelet story has now become legendary, retold in countless posts, memes, and even fan art, and the engagement has given it a fairy tale ending. It is the kind of origin story that feels scripted for a movie, a meet-cute that evolves into a global romance and now into a lifelong commitment. It is no wonder that fans feel like characters in the story themselves, watching it play out in real time. The NFL aspect of their relationship continues to generate intrigue as well, because Travis's career arc intersects perfectly with this engagement announcement. He is entering what many believe may be his final stretch of professional football, and his focus has shifted to securing a fourth Super Bowl title, a feat that would elevate him even higher in the sports pantheon. The idea of chasing one more ring on the field while celebrating a new ring off the field has become irresistible to sports writers, who spin it as a destiny-driven parallel, a narrative of dual quests that elevates both the personal and professional stakes simultaneously for fans who follow both football and Taylor Swift. This storyline feels almost too perfect to be real, but its authenticity is what makes it even more powerful because it was not scripted. It simply happened, and in a world where so much of celebrity culture feels manufactured, the organic rise of their love story gives it rare credibility. But with credibility also comes pressure. The engagement has now raised expectations about the wedding, and speculation is relentless. Will it be a secret ceremony with only family and close friends, or will it be a lavish production filled with celebrities and covered by every magazine from Vogue to People? Will Taylor wear a custom design by a top fashion house? Perhaps something symbolic that ties into her lyrical motifs of love and commitment. Will the guest list include the crossover of NFL teammates and pop stars, creating one of the most eclectic gatherings of famous faces in recent history? The possibilities are endless, and fans are analyzing every rumor, clue, and slip of the tongue to piece together what the future might hold. Yet beyond the speculation, there is a sense of inevitability about how their love story will continue to shape culture for years, because Taylor has always used her personal milestones as creative fuel, and there is little doubt that this engagement will seep into her future projects in some form, whether through a romantic ballad, a surprise album theme, or even through visuals in her music videos that mirror the aesthetic of the engagement photos. Travis, too, may see his life beyond football begin to unfold in new ways, perhaps through media ventures, endorsements, or appearances that capitalize on his elevated profile as half of one of the most famous couples in the world. And as both navigate this new terrain, they are rewriting what it means to be a celebrity couple in the 21st century. No longer is it enough to simply exist together. In public, they are expected to curate the story, manage the optics, and deliver moments that feel both intimate and monumental. And so far, they have done exactly that with precision that rivals even the best planned careers. The engagement announcement was proof that they understand their roles in this cultural play and are willing to embrace it not just for themselves, but for the millions. Watching their every move, fans who are already emotionally invested in their story feel a sense of ownership in this milestone. They celebrate it as if it were their own friend getting engaged, sharing edits on TikTok, compiling video montages of Taylor and Travis's best moments, and writing long threads of appreciation on Twitter. The line between celebrity and audience blurs as fans pour their emotions into the couple's journey. And this feedback loop only strengthens the narrative. Making it impossible to ignore the engagement is no longer just a headline. It is a phenomenon, an event that defines an era where love stories are lived out in real time across platforms, where Instagram posts become cultural artifacts, and where the blending of music and sports becomes the foundation for a modern mythology. And as the weeks move forward, the momentum shows no signs of slowing, if anything. The anticipation for the next chapter is only building. What will the wedding look like? When will it happen? How will it shape their careers? And most of all, how will Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce continue to turn their private love into a public story that feels universal? As the story of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's engagement rippled across the world, the momentum only grew. And by the time weeks passed, the conversation was no longer about a single Instagram post or a sparkling ring. It had become about what this union represents in culture: two forces at the top of their games, deciding to build a future together at the very moment when their individual legacies are reaching peak visibility. For Taylor, it is the blending of personal joy with her status as the most powerful voice in music, her ability to write her own chapters and invite millions along for the journey. And for Travis, it is the merging of his pursuit of NFL immortality with a love story that transcends sports headlines. Fans can feel that their story is not just about romance, but about timing and destiny. The ring on her finger mirrors the ring he still chases on the field, creating a parallel that media cannot resist. And as whispers grow louder about whether Taylor will finally step onto the Super Bowl halftime stage, the symbolism becomes almost too cinematic to ignore. A pop superstar serenading the world at the very stage where her fiancé fights for his final football glory. Fans imagine wedding vows that feel like lyrics, fashion choices that will dominate covers, guest lists that merge NFL champions with global pop icons, and perhaps even a performance by the bride herself. But beneath the spectacle lies a sense of authenticity that keeps people invested. Because at its core, this is still the story of a man who once tried to give a pop star his number on a friendship bracelet, and a woman who saw more than a gesture. She saw someone willing to take a chance, and together they turned that moment into a relationship that now stands as one of the most captivating cultural love stories of our time. What comes next will inevitably blend private intimacy with public attention. But whatever the wedding looks like, wherever it happens, however they choose to tell that chapter, the truth is clear. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce have already written themselves into modern mythology. Their engagement is not just a personal milestone, it is a cultural marker. A reminder that in an era when stories are consumed in real time, some romances can still feel timeless.